If I understood correctly, you want me to talk about why and how the association agreement can contribute to good development in the Eastern Partnership countries to the European Union.
I would say generally about short, medium-term and long-term priorities when it comes to EU and Eastern European countries.
So let me tell you that I am one of those politicians. It started already when I still was in German politics, but I went from German politics to EU politics because I found the most promising, but in the same time the most challenging event in my political life, the collapse of the Iron Curtain and the end of the Cold War confrontation on the European continent. And for me, I became a member of the European Parliament in the year 2004. So when the Central European countries and Southeastern European countries joined the European Union, I became a member of the European Parliament. I wanted from that year on to contribute to the reunification of the continent and the peaceful and democratic development of the continent that I have chosen in the European Parliament the responsibility also for the neighborhood to the EU is that the reason is that I really think that this reunification and this democratization process is not at an end with the existing European Union, but it has to continue for the better development for all citizens of the continent. So for me, this a process since the collapse of the Soviet Union and also the collapse of the Warsaw Pact is not yet accomplished. Yeah? So it's a huge task, and if the European Union is not taking up the challenge, then it will be not only a lost opportunity for citizens of Georgia, it will be also bad for the European Union and its citizens as the European Union exists today. So it's for me really a process now, especially also with the associated countries, which shall serve peace and stability on the continent. It's not only limited to the ideas of economic advantages. Yeah? It's as some people are reading these association agreements. For me, so the real perspective is that we contribute to stabilization of the continent. And so with my experience from the last year, especially in Ukraine, so I was witnessing what happened on Maidan. I spent many nights, also awful nights, in confrontation on Maidan in Ukraine. I was witnessing the reaction then by the Russians in Crimea, and I'm since 2014 regularly traveling to Donbass. So it's especially because of this experience, I'm even more convinced that the association agreements are mainly contributing to stability and peace, if they are done and fulfilled and implemented in a proper way. And they are also the alternative to the aggressive and imperialistic strategy by the Russians, or let's say more precise, by the Kremlin, by Putin and the Kremlin, because I learned really to differentiate in between the Russians and the Kremlin. It's very important for me meanwhile. And I think that especially for Georgia, it's quite a challenge that they took the commitment to the associated countries, to the association with the EU, because Georgia is also, as a country, if you look on a map, is really right now exposed to unfriendly neighbors.